Welcome back to Blow Up the Team. My name is Matt. I'm excited that this series is finally over. Not that it hasn't been fun to talk about baseball, but I'm excited that it's over because it means that baseball's back and it's actually happening. There was like a solid for the first couple weeks I was doing this, I'm like, I don't even know if there's gonna be baseball played. And sure enough, tomorrow, I mean, it looks like it's gonna rain, and there might be a rain out to start the season, which would be amazing. But the starting tomorrow, Garrett Cole and Max Scherzer will be dueling it out in Washington to start the 2020 regular season sprint.
Do you have an opinion on them not allowing players to high five or anything like that?
I mean, listen, I'm sure someone will get caught up in it and forget. I mean, listen, I don't care.
It's just
They're
asking.
I mean, listen, they're having fun. You watching the inter squad games and watching the couple of spring training games they played against the Mets and the Phillies. Like they're having fun. They're having just as much fun as if they could high five and stuff. They're figuring it out. So I don't really think it's the biggest detriment. But yeah. So this is and that was Jeremy, my co-host for today, as always, because he's the co-owner of this channel. Yeah, I don't know why. Anyway,
That's me.
moving on.
That's me.
What?
I said that's me for sure.
Well, yeah, I certainly hope it's you.
I've been an imposter this entire time. You just didn't know it.
Listen, that'd be really impressive. I haven't seen you over this entire quarantine. So I haven't seen you since before we went to school. Did we even see each other over winter break?
Yeah, at a certain friend of ours, eventful New Year's Eve party.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Ah, good times, good times.
Anyways,
So yeah, it's been 7 months plus since I've seen you. So for all I know, you could be an imposter.
definitely am. Definitely am not the same human being. Actually, 100%.
Um, this is it. This is my magnum opus. This is my Cleopatra. This is my oh god, Ben Hur, right?
All right,
Whatever.
let's not embarrass ourselves in the video that's supposed to be the best video you will
I
ever
mean, listen,
make.
if we end up keep doing this and get better at editing and actually recording videos, this definitely won't be. But this is definitely gonna be the best video that I've done of like this series because obviously I talk baseball. I love baseball. I stare at baseball a lot during the course of every day. I think about baseball all the time, and I look at different teams. And I know a fair amount of players on each team, but this is the only team. Oh, this and the Cubs. The Cubs not even as much, but this is the only team that top to bottom. I know everyone in this you know lineup. I know everyone on the bench. I know everyone. Every player in the bullpen. This is the team that I obviously follow the most, and that I've been a fan of for many years. So it's it's just really exciting to finally get to talk about them. So let's talk about the 2019 Yankees. 2019 Yankees going into the season where a team that was looking to get back to where they found themselves at the end of 2017. 2018 was the year of the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox just dominated everyone. Their pitching was good. Their bullpen was shaky, but showed up in the postseason. Their uh, lineup, top to bottom, just Mookie Betts and JD Martinez, you know, just terrorized pitching staffs. Um, it's it was the year of the Red Sox. Well, 2019 comes along and the Yankees are trying to figure out how can we be better than the Red Sox. They signed DJ LeMahieu. A lot of people they passed up on Patrick Corbin, which people really couldn't understand and were really annoyed about because Patrick Corbin was a great pitcher for the Nats this past year, and basically the disagreement was over 1 year. We re-signed Jay Happ, who had been really good for us in 2018 after we got him for a 2-year contract extension. We traded for James Paxton, which was a pretty huge deal. James Paxton was the ace of Seattle and had a really good 2018. Um, and we went out and we attacked the bullpen. We got Adam Ottavino on a 3-year, $27 million contract. We got Zach Britton to a 3 or 4-year deal. We got which because Zach Britton, though he was already on the team, obviously, we did need to re-sign him because he was a free agent, and there was some doubts because he was getting closer contracts from other teams. We did lose David Robertson in free agency, which was a blow because David Robertson had been on the team for so long. It was such a good, reliable arm. But for the most part, the bullpen, which was the best part of 2018 Yankees, stayed together. The 20 and the starters, at least on paper, were improved. And CC was going into his final year, so there was a lot of movement on this team. The season comes and DJ Mayhew turns out to be the second coming of I don't even know for the Yankees offense. The Yankees in 2018 lacked any sort of contact ability. They were home run or nothing type hitters, and he got on base a lot. He drove in guys when Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton or Aaron Hicks would walk, he would drive them in. Well, Aaron Hicks was injured, but you know what I mean. When other guys would get on base, he would be the one driving them in. He was an MVP candidate. He was a monster. You saw the emergence of Giovanni Urshela. Uh, Miguel Andujar went down very early in this season with Tommy John surgery, and Gio Urshela came up and was ridiculous. He, in his very first full season in the MLB, hit 314, hit 21 home runs, and he was an awesome defender over at third base. Miguel Andujar had 18 errors at third base and not even full action. And Giovanni Urshela, I don't remember how many he had, but regardless, was just made highlight reel throws all from third all the time, diving stops, just really it was a really big help to the team. In the outfield, Aaron Judge went down for missed about 60 games with a fracture in his rib cage. Ironically enough, against the Royals, who he injured himself against in 2018, and missed some fair time. But still, in the 102 games he played, he looked like himself and put up very similar numbers to 2018. And we saw big performances out of Gleyber Torres really becoming an all-star and really becoming the next big Yankee. We also saw some surprises off the bench, and really the whole team was next man up because everyone kept going down with injuries. We kept having to get people from who probably would have never seen a major league field to being unexpected heroes. Like Mike Tauchman hit 270 with 13 home runs, was awesome for the time he got. Mike Ford, who though his first couple of call ups didn't go too great, but then in September and end of August he raked and hit 12 home runs in the course of September and August in his very first major league season. Clint Frazier, when he was up, was an offensive monster, a little bit horrible on defense, but on offense he was amazing. Tyler Wade had his moments. Kyle Higashioka, when filling in for Gary Sanchez, was better than he has been. Guys just kept coming up and kept performing for this team because Giancarlo Stanton was gone for the entire season. He only played in 18 games, and Aaron Hicks, he got only 59 games. And in the time that Aaron Hicks played, he hit some big home runs, which you see in the video, and he hit and he made some amazing catches. The one that comes to mind is my favorite play of the year, and one of the best catches of the year, a game-saving catch in an absolute marathon of a game in Minnesota, to save the Yankees from defeat. And so, it was a big season, and then just to round it all out, CC Sabathia finishes a career with over 3,000 strikeouts and literally pitched till his arm fell off in the ALCS, which would end up being where the Yankees fell. he tore his rotator cuff, and despite knowing he tore his rotator cuff, he got back up on that mound and tried to throw warm-up pitches because he wasn't done. The man fought to the end, and we will be seeing him in Cooperstown in 5 years. As for the bullpen, again in 2019 was dominant as per usual. Big performances from Adam Ottavino. Adam Ottavino had a sub-2 ERA. Zach Britton had a sub-2 ERA. Aroldis Chapman had a 2.21 ERA. Everyone looked awesome out of the bullpen. Tommy Kainley. Tommy Kainley is my favorite relief pitcher in the MLB because the man throws a 91-mile-an-hour changeup, and he was the most dominant reliever in the MLB in like July. Had a rough, really, really rough August, but put it back together for September and the postseason. And he's also he's an absolute psychopath. Tommy Kainley had amazing stretch of dominance. Chad Greene struggled. Like, he did not look like the Chad Greene we knew in 2018. He was horrible at the beginning of the season, and at one point just kept giving up run after run after run. After going down to AAA, giving himself 2 weeks off to work on his mechanics, came back, and even though his ERA would say that he didn't, have that great of a season, the second coming of Chad Greene in that season was significantly better than the first time around. We finally saw Luis Cessa show moments of greatness. We had Jonathan Loizaga, I should say, have moments as well. And so there is a lot of big, positives in that bullpen. The rotation was the big weakness of this team. The rotation, Jay Happ just turned to stone. He had a 4.91 ERA. He couldn't get through games. He was just not the same Jay Happ that we had in 2018. In the first half of 2019, we had Domingo Germán looking like an ace, for filling in for Luis Severino, just to end up being a abuser and ending up suspended as he rightfully should have been. And Monsieur Tanaka was himself. He was good. He's Monsieur Tanaka. You don't need to question if he was good or not. James Paxton was like a bizarre case of couldn't pitch in the first inning, would dominate after the first inning. And Jordan Montgomery eventually made his return to the rotation. And CC Sabathia, he was good, but he obviously was not, the ace quality that he had been for, in his prime of his career. He was a very good pitcher and very good team leader. Anyway, I have been talking enough about things that aren't. Yeah, I think this video is over.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't know why this is here for 30 seconds, but it's fine.
Enough about that. We're already 10 minutes in. Let's talk about 2020. So 2019, the offseason was very, very quiet for the Yankees. Didi Gregorius left to the Phillies, and Gleyber Torres is now going to be the starting shortstop. Gleyber Torres was a shortstop in the Yankees farm system anyway, so he'll be at his natural position. He's actually a better defender at shortstop than he was at second base. So, overall positive thing. Even though, as much as I hated to say that, Jordan Montgomery's back and healthy. But the big, most important signing of this offseason, Garrett Cole, welcome to New York. Garrett Cole absolutely dominated the AL. The Writers Association just decided that they like wins better than they like, actual dominance. And so they gave it to Justin Verlander because he won 20 games and threw a no-hitter. Garrett Cole only struck out 326 batters and had an ERA of 2.5 and a WHIP under 1, and also won 20 games and threw over 200 innings and had a statistically better season in every category than Justin Verlander. But Justin Verlander's Justin Verlander. Give the guy who's already in the Hall of Fame more medal, I guess. I'm not salty. That's really the most important part of the off season for the Yankees. The rest were some, come and try it out contracts. Specifically, Matt Duffy. Who else? Chris Iannetta. was also added, and then a couple other catchers to compete for the bot. Really not expected to make any big impact, but just expected to compete with give Kyle Higashioka competition. They also signed Eric Kratz, who is not on the team currently. So yeah, that was their offseason. Their offseason was all about Garrett Cole. They needed that one starter to electrify this team, and that he is going to be already coming into 2020. It's the rotation took a hit with Luis Severino going down with Tommy John. And however, the rotation's still in a good spot with James Paxton, Jordan Montgomery, and the showings of Michael King and Clark Schmidt. It's looking like a solid rotation, significantly better than last year's. So let's get into this lineup. Starting off with DJ LeMahieu. DJ LeMahieu, as I said, the team's MVP. If it wasn't for the fact that he's in the same league as Mike Trout, he would have won the MVP. In his age 30 season, he hit more home runs, had more RBIs, and had his second highest batting average of his career. Had one of his highest on base percentages. He scored 109 runs. He had a high slugging percentage. Had a career high, almost a career high OPS as well. He put together even his walks to strikeout is a 2-to-1, which is about the MLB average. But he also grinds at bats. He chokes up when he gets to 2 strikes. He will foul off pitch after pitch after pitch, and he will grind at the plate. And his sudden increase in power, and just playing for a team. The thing about playing in the AL is batters are getting on base more than they would in the NL, because the NL has to deal with the pitcher spot. And so he had 102 RBIs last season as the leadoff man, which is 36 more than he had in his best season with the Rockies, which was in 2016. So this resurgence has called, including myself, it's called many Yankee fans, including myself, to just give him a damn extension already. Don't lose DJ. He's become a favorite. DJ the Machine LeMahieu, just absolutely. He is a lethal hitter. He also hit a game-tying home run in the Game 6 of the ALCS. Everyone knows what happened afterwards, but the Astros were cheating, so fuck the Astros, and who cares? The guy is clutch. He's got a good glove. He's got an excellent glove. He can play second base. His main position is second base, but he also played at first base. He also played at third base. I wouldn't be surprised if you can throw him at shortstop or anywhere in the field, and he'll be a competent defender in any position. The guy is my favorite person to watch on this team, because he is like an all-around, very much complete ball player. Up next, we have Aaron Judge. He doesn't really need any introduction, because everyone knows what Aaron Judge does. Aaron Judge hits home runs and has a cannon arm. He's also an excellent fielder. Last year, despite the injury, he still hit 27 home runs, which is exactly how many he hit in 2018. Actually, what you're watching right now is a 2019 Aaron Judge highlight video, because for some godforsaken reason, no one made a 2019 highlight reel for the Yankees team that was better than the 2018 Yankees. There's a 50-minute video of the 2018 Yankees, but there was none of the 2019 Yankees, which was a better team top to bottom, despite only winning 3 more games. But that's beside the point. So, like I said, Aaron Judge, great defensively. He won Defensive Player of the Year in 2019 or 2018. He won Defensive Player of the Year recently from Wilson, which is pretty big for anyone. He's got a laser cannon arm. He's very good at fielding that short porch, dropping home runs. He's got decent speed, but obviously when you have the power talent that he has, you're not stealing many bases, and it's also just league that doesn't steal bases. And he walks a little bit less than you would want him to. But a lot of that, it's actually a really interesting stat. They're starting to put together stats of guys. The problem with Aaron Judge is that he is significantly taller than most players in the MLB. So him and Giancarlo Stanton are absolutely massive at over 6 foot, whatever they are. I think Aaron Judge is 6'7",
Yeah,
and
he's
so
6'7", like 250 or 280. And he's the exact same size as Zion. I saw a post today actually about it.
yeah, and so he's huge, and so the problem with that is that umpires, when they have their strike zone, they're usually calling strike zones for guys who are a few inches shorter, which gives him the disadvantage of the fact that umpires will call things that are strikes for other guys that are not strikes for a guy who's 6'7", and so he is. In 2018, he was the most robbed player. Despite the not playing a full season, he had the most wrong called strike threes and most just wrong called strikes on him of any player. And so, and that's not to say that it's all that. He does strike out a lot. He does swing and miss a lot. Like most power hitters, he really struggles with that down and in slider, but or just that general, just sliders in general. But when he gets a hold of one, he launches it. He's got a very high slugging percentage, and when he's healthy, he is the best player on this team, and he's looking healthy so far. And if he can stay healthy, if he's healthy through the 60-game stretch, he, he could terrorize the league. He could genuinely be unstoppable, and I hope he is. So expect big power out of him. Obviously, expect him to be up there in the RBI lead on this team, and just expect him to be an overall monster. The only thing you want to look for in him is him to continue to develop that eye and work on walking more. Behind him, you got Gleyber Torres moving over to his natural position at shortstop this season. Uh, Gleyber is, he's gotten comparisons to many great Yankees. He is just a phenomenal talent to watch. He's got an excellent bat with really great power. In 144 games, he hit 278 with 38 home runs, 90 RBIs. Um, he walks. His strikeout to walk ratio is about a 3-1, which is not where you want it. You definitely want to see his walks go up, but he's also insanely young. He's only 23 years old, and he's already had back-to-back All-Star quality seasons. And he's got a lot of pop, and his fielding was okay. It was always considered okay. It was never considered bad, but his fielding at shortstop is significantly better than his fielding at second base, and so seeing him in a season at shortstop will be pretty cool to watch because he is great. A little fun fact: my dad had a Mark Teixeira jersey. He got it when they signed Mark Teixeira because he thought Mark Teixeira was going to be, like Mark Teixeira was really great as a Yankee and for his first couple of seasons, but towards the end he definitely struggled a lot more than anyone thought he would. Like Dad thought he was going to be like, pretty huge part of that team for his entire contract. And not to say that Mark Teixeira is bad. I fucking love Mark Teixeira when he was on that team, but now he's got himself a Gleyber Torres jersey, so it all worked out for him. He doesn't have. So anyway. But yeah, Gleyber Torres, good defense, good speed, great bat, and becoming a leader on this team. And if Aaron Judge continues to be injury prone, you might see Gleyber Torres got the extension favoritism here. Behind him, you got Giancarlo Stanton. Well, you don't need to worry about getting extensions to him. He's going to be on this team for a long time. Yankee fans love to hate on Giancarlo Stanton. The moment Giancarlo Stanton does anything that they don't like, it's why did we get this guy? He's worthless. He's a terrible ball player. 2019 was riddled with injuries for him, and so it's understandable that fans are like, this guy's getting injured all the time. But everyone who says that forgets what he did in 2018. Though his power numbers were not, the 59 home runs he hit in Miami in 2017. In 2017, it was still 38 home runs, 100 RBIs in 158 games, 266 average, and walking a whole bunch for a guy, well, not a whole bunch, but walking a fair amount for a guy who was playing on a bad hamstring. The guy wanted to get a few games off, but with Aaron Judge being down, he said, "I can't. This team needs me. I'm going to stay out there." And so anyone who complains about Giancarlo Stanton, being injured all the time, or God forbid, I saw one guy saying he fakes it, does not care about what he's actually done, and you're not a real fan if you think that Giancarlo Stanton is not a good ball player. Now, that being said, Giancarlo Stanton, huge power, huge arm, not a good fielder, definitely the primary DH for this team. uh, he his strikeouts were up in 2018. I'm not going to talk about 2019 because 2019 he only had very limited action. But his walk ratio is usually about league average. Well, at least you know, is been getting closer to league average of about 2-1. And so if he can hover around that, that'd be really, really important for him. Uh, he's got a good on base. He sends balls to the moon. His exit velocity on everything is huge, and so he will be a big, stick in the lineup for driving in runs. And overall, solid ball player, and will be a pretty big force on this team. You got Aaron Hicks. Aaron Hicks is going to be the first player in like 20 or 30 years to get Tommy John surgery and not miss the regular season game. Yeah, yes, it's entirely because of COVID, but still, it's an impressive recovery that an outfielder who needs his arm to throw a lot is has made this recovery. Aaron Hicks is a three true outcomes player. He walks, he strikes out, or he hits home runs.
The
He is
fact.
never going to have what
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
he is never going to have a huge average, but the point is he gets on base a lot, and when he does make contact, he does have a lot of power, and he's very, very good defensively. He's had multiple high real style catches. He makes a lot of really difficult plays, and so he's got a lot. He's got a good arm. He's got good range. All that puts together for a very, very solid big league center fielder. And the Yankees signed him to a 7-year, $70 million contract after the 2018. 2019 he got injured, and he's got a pretty injury-ridden career. But if he can stay, fairly healthy, the deal at the end of the day was actually a steal for the Yankees. Just to give you an idea, he performed better than Bryce Harper in 2018 by WAR, by slugging, by OPS, by a lot of measures, and he ended up taking a much smaller contract. He got a contract that was undervalued for his performance and took it. So he will be. Fuck you, Andre. That.
Hmm? Oh, okay. Interesting. Well, while you're interrupted, I'm just gonna make one quick side note. Um, the fact that he's also coming back from Tommy John so quickly, because I mean again it is because of COVID, but I mean this is still a pretty quick turnaround time. I wanted to ask you your opinion on um, do you think that this speaks as well to the improving technology where Tommy John, I mean it's obviously still going to be a huge injury, but do you think that we're going to start to see more and more guys having faster recovery times, being able to get back healthier faster and get back stronger, or do you think that
Yeah,
it's kind of just because of COVID?
I mean, it's definitely not because Didi Gregorius came back in June, end of June, early July. So it's not like a Didi Gregorius type case where 2 days after the surgery he was able to take off his cast because he was healing that fast. Um, I don't know if what it does. I mean, the fact is, it's not as intensive as surgery on fielders because they don't need to throw as rigorously as a pitcher does, or as often as a pitcher does. Obviously on plays they need to make throws, but when you think about it, most positions are only getting a couple throws a game, whereas a pitcher needs to throw 100 innings in an outing, or needs to throw like 20 pitches an outing if they're a reliever or something. And so it's already gonna it's still a long injury process, and I do think as we go on, we're seeing shorter turnaround times. But I'm not 100% sold that it is getting substantially shorter. But these last two cases of Didi and Hicks show that it can be, and so I'm not sure what exactly it would have to be for it to get even shorter. But I do think it does speak to they have a very good you know recovery team over there because they've needed to use them quite a bit. So, yeah, not 100%
Yeah, that's fair.
sure.
I was just curious. Anyways, sorry that you got interrupted. I think you were talking about the steal of Aaron Hicks' contract.
Yeah, so Aaron Hicks' contract is if he so the contract he had, uh, basically when you look at a contract, one WAR equals about $10 million, which is insane, but that's just how it is in baseball. And so, in order for Aaron Hicks' contract to be worth it by the stats, he would need to put up one WAR a year. And and if he has a multi-WAR season, he's already paid off his contract. The guy is a very solid center fielder by the metrics, by the new way of looking at baseball. He came over from the Twins as a not horrible, but just not a very good player, and has turned himself into a very solid threat out there. And it's going to be on this team for minimum the next 6 years anyway. So get used to him. I love watching him. Great guy. Up next, you got Gary Sanchez. Gary Sanchez has had quite a rough couple of seasons since his big couple of first stints in 2016 and 2017. 2016, I don't know how many fans remember this, but he got Rookie of the Year votes, and there was actually a big wave of people saying he should have won Rookie of the Year out all over the MLB when only playing 53 games. And in 2017, he was a monster, the 278 average of 33 home runs. 2018, injuries plagued him, and he had an abysmal 186 average with 18 home runs. And in 2019, he still had injury problems, but his average 232 is still significantly better than 186, and he did hit 34 home runs. So when he connects, he still has the power. And you know, the thing about catchers, when it comes to catchers, most people will take a guy. I mean, if you can get an offensive catcher like him, it's a huge, huge win. Now, if he keeps getting injured and he turns out to not be the guy, you might see him move over to first base or something, or maybe be trade him to another AL team for a DA to be a DH, or maybe just be a DH for this team. But I think this season will be good for him just to stay healthy and to continue to work on the improvements he made in 2019. At the end of the day, despite hitting worse, like average wise, he hit his career high home runs in only 106 games. Also, catchers are going to get less action anyway because they need to rest more often because they're at a very physically demanding position. But yeah, he's probably it's between him and Giancarlo Stanton, who's the worst with walking. I think he is worse at walking than on this team. He strikes out a lot. His approach to the plate is all power and not geared towards base hits and you know staying on the ball at all. But for what he does, he has got and a lot of people don't credit how much improvements he's made defensively as well. He's not like he's not atrocious behind. Like 2018, he got into a fight with Luis Severino in the middle of a game because he kept getting crossed up and kept letting balls get past him. And he's made big strides since then. His accuracy on throwdowns to second base is high. He's got one of the best throwdown. He's got one of the best pop up times in the league. His throwdowns to second are some of the best in the league. He's got and his defense has improved by the metrics. The problem is baseball fans, obviously focus on what was, not what is, and so, or well, they do it both ways. But and for Gary Sanchez, the way that people focus on what Giancarlo Stanton was in 2017, or focus on the way that he is in 2019, rather than what he was in 2018. They focus on Gary Sanchez, what he was in his previous 3 seasons than what he was last season. Last season he was very solid behind the plate defensively. Not perfect, obviously. The thing is, people also love to pick one example of bad defense and then say that's how he is for everything. He is significantly better behind the plate than people realize, and he at the end of the day, he's got a huge bat, a huge amount of power in that bat, and so he is an excellent major league catcher. Behind him, you have Luke Voight. Luke Voight will be switching off a lot with, not competing, but switching off a lot with Mike Ford coming out of summer camp. as they've been calling it. 2018, everyone knows what he did. 30-22 average, 15 home runs in the course of end of August into September, and people absolutely loved him. 2019, he struggled heavily out of the gate, and then also got injured. And he had streaks of getting back to his form, and so he started in the low 200s and worked himself up to a 263 average, walking literally an exact 2-to-1 walk out to strikeout to walk ratio, and hit 21 home runs and 62 RBIs, and was a very very good first baseman still. Um, if he can continue to improve, if he can, once again, this is gonna be a shortened season, and so based on what he does when he's healthy and not trying to deal with injuries while playing, which he was for a lot of 2019, he is a very big threat, and he's shown that. So um, yeah. Behind him, you got Brett Gardner, the longest tenured Yankee and the last Yankee on this team who was a part of the 2009 World Series team. Since Brett Gardner has come up, he has been a consistent Yankee. He has a lot of speed. He has a great defensive range, and he comes up big with clutch hits. He's not a huge threat power-wise with the bat normally, but he will, in clutch situations, he is the guy to hit that home run. Last year, at age 35, don't get me wrong, the balls were juiced last year, but that's beside the point. He hit 28 home runs, and he drove in 74, which was in both career highs. The guy is a very, very good center fielder. The Yankees actually have, there's an interesting Foolish Baseball video. The Yankees dynasty, have a dynasty going, and have had a dynasty going for over 100 years of great center fielders. Now, Brett Gardner mostly plays left field now, but he's passed the torch on to Aaron Hicks, and Brett Gardner is a leader in this clubhouse, and he has a better bat than people realize. And you know, uh, last year with his banging the bat everywhere, this season let Brett bang. Fucking love that. Anyway, hitting ninth, it's absurd. And by the way, these players, as we get lower in the lineup, these players would be hitting much higher in other lineups. This team is that deep that you have guys like Luke Voight and Gary Sanchez hitting 6 and 7, and Gio Urshela hitting ninth, and Brett Carter hitting eighth. Gio Urshela hit over 300 last year, 21 home runs, and he's hitting ninth. He's going to be a pretty huge part of this team. Like, it's not like literally pick any other team we've talked about, and the bottom of the lineup is going to, the biggest weakness. This team is hugely, hugely deep. From top to bottom, it is deep, and their bench is deep as well, and their prospects are deep as well. And Gio Urshela has a great contact focus bat. The 21 home runs are not, like he's swinging for the fences. He does not swing for the fences. The fact is, when you're focused on hitting for, just hitting sake, you are going to have a lot more success, especially when balls are juiced. But his approach at the plate gives him a lot of success contact wise, and and he catches enough of them to have a good power as well. His strikeout to walk ratio is a 4-to-1, which is rough. But for a guy who just got his first taste of full MLB action, and he's only 28, there's a lot of good years to come for him in pinstripes. And like I said earlier, his glove is it's amazing. It is easily up there in defensive third baseman last season, and this season he'll continue to be that. Going into the starters. All right, we are through into 40 minutes worth of. I selected 40 minutes worth of videos, knowing I was going to go over that anyway. And here we got some Garrett Cole highlights. Garrett Cole, monster pitcher. He was stuck in Pittsburgh for years, where people knew how he had a couple of good seasons in Pittsburgh, like 2015, where he went 19-8 with a 2.6 ERA and 200 strikeouts, and 2016. But the problem with Pittsburgh is their horrible, horrible pitching development. They just made him throw sinkers, which he wasn't good at throwing, and so he got bounced around a lot, giving up lots of runs. He got traded to the Astros. The Astros developed his fastball, and he had a lethal 2018 with 200 innings pitched, a 2.80 ERA, 15-5, 276 strikeouts, and was pitching like a monster. In 2019, his velocity was up, his strikeouts were up, his walks were down, his WHIP was down, his ERA was down, his wins were up, his innings were up. And like the guy is a monster, and he had a huge postseason as well. He was great in the World Series. He was great in the ALCS. He was great in the ALDS. The guy is the real deal. Garrett Cole's biggest weapon is his fastball. His fastball is his fastball slider combo. His fastball, you know, is somewhere between 97 and 100. He can hit, and he's hit higher. Obviously, he's hit uh, over 100 before, but really, somewhere in the upper 90s to 100 is where he tends to ride his fastball, and his slider is in the upper echelon of velocity as well, throwing it in the high 80s to low 90s at times. Like right there, that's a 91 mile an hour slider. Like that's normally what most people would expect a cutter to be thrown at, except instead of it being more lateral, it is diving. Um, and he look at that. He just paints corners with 99 mile an hour heat. He's got okay, that wasn't exactly painting
Yeah,
corners
or
there, but
pipe
still.
one right down the middle, and the guy forgets to swing the bat.
I mean, listen, when you're throwing that hard, you get to get away with more shit than a guy who's throwing 90. There was actually Mike Clevenger was doing an interview, and people were talking, why don't you focus on, control more? And well, I can throw 96, 97, and get more strikeouts, and I can get away with bad pitches. But when you're throwing low 90s, you don't get to get away with as many bad pitches. So he will dominate pitchers with batters with the fastball and slider, and honestly, he could throw whole games of them. He's also got a very good changeup. And Jeremy, do you happen to know the name of the all-time strikeout leader?
Off the top of my head, no.
Nolan Ryan is his name. Nolan Ryan had over 5,700 strikeouts in his career. He is the league leader. He's the all-time leader by over 1,000 strikeouts. He's also the leader in walks. He had over 2,000 walks in his career, but he's also had an ERA, hovering in the twos most of his career anyway. Guy who once threw a game through 16 innings, or no, 13. It was either 13 or 16 innings in an Angels game, which was then lost by the bullpen. 261 innings. But anyway, the guy was the very first, big. Well, not the very first, but like it was one of the big flamethrowers to, tear up the league for 20 years.
You're
And
officially
even as
out
he
of
got,
highlights, by the way.
yeah, I know it's kind of an awkward, kind of awkward. Not what I was expecting. Um, I've surpassed my expectations. I was expecting to be on the bullpen at least. But here I am on just Garrett Cole. Okay, well, um, anyway, he is known for a curveball and a changeup. Well, Garrett Cole wants his changeup to be just as lethal as his a slider, and so he's been getting uh, coaching and tips from the great Nolan Ryan, who's been giving him pointers on how to improve his changeup. And the changeup was a huge threat for Nolan Ryan, and so that's hopefully that will lead to more improvements. But that's just a cool little fact. But yeah. So Garrett Cole, expect large amounts of strikeouts, and an excellent strikeout to walk ratio. Honestly, will probably be one of the he has projected him at 100 strikeouts. I think he's probably between him and Jacob DeGrom are probably the only two pitchers I can think of off the top of my head who would be able to strike out 100 batters in a 60-game season. Expect him to be miles ahead of most pitchers in the league. He is the real threat, and he's gonna be on this team for the next 9 years, and I can't wait. Um, Behind him, you got James Paxton. James Paxton had a fairly good 2019. He had a really rough start, but really started to figure things out um, in the second half to get the end of the season. Pitched a 3.82 ERA, 150 innings, 186 strikeouts. He's got a high velocity fastball and a pretty deadly knuckle curve, and also this cutter slider hybrid that he throws, which is also a fairly decent pitch. as his like main pitches. He is like I said, the most bizarre thing about him is that in the first inning, he gives up. He's horrible. He gives up run after run. Normally, it's the first time through the lineup is the best, second time is still pretty good, and third time is pretty bad. No, it's the exact opposite. He gets better the longer he goes. Um, One interesting thing though that they did learn in coming to this offseason is he has had a problem with either his leg or his back. I don't remember exactly what it is for years that was never diagnosed, and he could never figure out what was wrong with it. And the doctors finally have solved his like some injury problem he's consistently had that he had in 2019. And so so hopefully with that improved, with that, you know, those problems solved, you will see a better James Paxton this season than what you saw in 2019 or at any point in his career, honestly. So hopefully that'll be big for him. Um, if you go real quick to the bullpen tab and go down to Monsieur Tanaka, yeah, Tanaka is going to be coming back. They're expecting him to come back July 31st, which for a guy who took 112 miles off the dome and is still standing and laughing about it, it's pretty incredible. The numbers jump off at you that he had a bad season last year, 4.45 ERA, but he also threw a complete game shutout. He had a couple of really dominant starts. The problem last year was he had two horrendous starts against the Red Sox. One in London where he gave up 6 runs in 2/3 of an inning, and then another one against the Red Sox where he gave up like 7 or 8 runs over the course of like 2 or 3 innings. The rest of his starts, when you take those away, count for a pretty solid big league pitcher, which is what Tanaka has been for his entire time in New York. He's been a solid pitcher, and and these numbers, they look good. They don't look amazing. His postseason numbers are stunning. They're like in the like his career postseason starts. He's in like in like the mid ones, and he knows how to come up big for the Yankees. And there's a reason he's the fan favorite. Um, there's a really amazing promo video the Yankees did. It was Whiff's Garage, your 1, 2, 3 stop shop for all your car troubles, and it's at one point Massa just yells out, "Ready to go!" That's what he is. He's ready to go. He's going to be a huge part of this team when he comes back. Give him the time he needs because this team's going to the postseason. There's no question, and he's gonna, as long as he's healthy, you're gonna have a threatening starter there. You have Michael King now. Michael King made his major league debut last year. Only pitched 2 innings, but was good in them. Didn't give up a run. 1 strikeout. He came over. We traded Caleb Smith, I think it was. We traded a couple prospects between him, the Marlins, and the Yankees. And the Marlins have been getting pretty good results out of their guy. Now it's Michael King's turn. Michael King has looked excellent. It looked really good in summer camp and in spring training, and he looked really good against the Mets in his first start. He's going to be in the rotation for as long as Masahiro Tanaka is down, so he'll probably get 2 starts. I would expect, depending on how Hap performs, though, King could end up taking Hap's spot, and Hap could end up in the bullpen because Hap is very much the odd one out. Hap had a horrendous 2019. He had. Oh, by the way, you can go back to the lineup. I forgot to tell you.
Hey, listen, man. I didn't know if you were trying to circle back around to it or what. I'm just trying to, do the best I can here.
It's all good. It's all good. So, really any sort of form that Hap had in 2018 is what you want to see come back because he was 17-6 with 3.65 ERA. He had 192 strikeouts in the 177 innings. He wasn't even averaging a strikeout per inning. His walks were about the same. His velocity was about the same, but his whip was up. He was just giving up home runs crazy. He had, I think, exactly 1 start where he looked really good, which is not what you want to see from a veteran lefty who's known for being consistent these last couple of seasons. So you're looking for improvement out of him. He's, relying on a fastball, which can be volatile, obviously, especially when you're not throwing it hard the way Garrett Cole does. Last in the rotation, but definitely not the worst pitcher in this rotation. Jordan Montgomery is finally getting his chance to have a full season again. Jordan Montgomery started 2018 and had to go down with Tommy John. Where everyone he's only 2 seasons removed from his rookie debut in 2017. 29 starts, 155 innings, a 3.80 ERA, 144 strikeouts. He was a big part of the reason that the Yankees made the wild card that year, and he was very, very good. His biggest thing, his primary pitch is this really, really deadly curveball that he's got going on, and he follows it up with a four-seamer and a two-seamer, and I think it's either a changeup or a slider. He's got really, really good stuff, and you know I don't know why my headset shut off this time. You were talking. You were just talking.
Yeah, I don't know. I think part of it registers probably like, oh, I only talked for like 2 seconds as opposed to like if I talked for 30 seconds. So
I
I
don't
don't really know.
understand why that would make a difference. You talk.
I mean, who knows?
But he no. Oh, anyway, Montgomery's currently been optioned to training camp, but it's not like he's gonna not make this rotation. He is in the rotation. They just have him down there because just so that way they can have a couple extra bullpen arms because he is gonna make his first start of the season, July 29th in Philly. Don't expect it's not going to be a season long thing. He has made this team. He's a very good pitcher, and just how good his curveball is what will make him a very good starter, and a big step up from the rotation of last year. Now let's talk into another really good area for the Yankees, and they have a suffocating bullpen. The one notable. But I forgot to mention it. DJ May is expected to miss a couple of games still. He has recovered from COVID, but we're gonna find out basically at 7 o'clock tomorrow when the game starts if he's um starting. He's not. He played a few innings against the Mets and Phillies, and he's looking good. The question is if he's really, really ready to start. Um, but that's not a big deal. Aroldis Chapman is still not back since testing positive with minor symptoms, and there's no exact return date, but they're expecting him to come back hopefully within the next week or two, and be able to get himself back into shape to pitch. So right now it looks like Zach Britton and Adam Ottavino or Tommy Kainley or someone will be splitting closer duties. With Zach Britton probably being the primary because he has been spent the most time as a closer. The thing about the Yankees bullpen though is that they have five, I'd say, closer quality starters. So let's talk about this year's projected starting closer, Zach Britton. At age 32, he is the ground ball king in the majors. He has the highest ground ball percentage on balls in play. And what everyone forgets is that he was really, really good last year. His strikeouts to walks don't really, jump out at you as someone who's good. He only had 53 strikeouts and had 32 walks. His control was down last year. Basically, if you wanted to get the prototypical Zach Britton inning, he would start off with a leadoff walk, either strike out the next guy, and then get a double play ball, or get a double play ball and then strike out the guy after that. Like that was basically how almost every Zach Britton inning went. Um, the guy has a lot of experience as a closer. He was really dominant on the Orioles, and he was dominant last year. He's a pretty huge part of the bullpen, and he has a 95-mile-an-hour sinker, which is insane. So he's got some pretty high, gas to add to the bullpen. Aroldis Chapman, everyone knows that he does. He throws hard. Now, the last couple seasons have seen a slow tick down in his average fastball velocity. He can still hit 100, but he's not going to average 100 anymore. And in the slow season, or in the quick season, he might, only start hitting 100 by the end of the season because he's coming back off an injury. He, only averaged a 98-mile-an-hour fastball last year. What a ridiculous sentence. Um, he still struck out 85 in 57 innings. You also saw him develop his slider into a reliable breaking pitch. Um, the exception of the Game 6 of the LDS when he gave up the walk-off home run to Jose Altuve, but he was cheating, so who cares? Um, he's starting to develop other pitches. He's developed that slider. He threw like 2 or 3 changeups last year, and he's throwing his two-seamer more. He's starting to diversify his pitch repertoire to basically give him career longevity. Not to say that his fastball is done. He still, hits 98 as his average. That's still really good. He's still throwing high 90 stuff. He still has really high velocity. And yeah, so the things are still looking up for the Cuban Missile. Behind him, you have Adam Ottavino. Adam Ottavino was lethal last season. Not the greatest control-wise, walked 40 batters, but he did strike out 88. The big thing for him is the slider, two-seamer combo he has going. He works left to right, unlike a lot of pitchers who work up and down. He throws a slider and then a lot of fastballs. Cutters, two-seamers, straight four-seamers. In 66 innings, he had a 1.9 ERA. He was very, very good for the Yankees, and he did struggle quite a bit in the postseason, however, and it was not good against the Astros. Wasn't good against the Twins, and a lot of fans are blowing up on Twitter for that. Bad shit happens. At the end of the day, he's still an excellent reliever, and his numbers over the regular season show it. I expect similar numbers from him. Hopefully, less walks, but overall, he's an excellent quality relief arm. Behind him, we have Tommy Kainley, my favorite guy in this bullpen. He's hilarious to watch. I'm trying to catch his Twitch stream. He streams on Twitch. Obviously, it's not going to happen now. The season's starting, but still. His average fastball is around 97, and his average changeup is around 90 to 91. Changeups aren't supposed to be thrown as hard as fastballs, but his is. It's now that there's a duality of that, it means that guys will look like absolute chumps trying to hit this thing. But when people do make contact, because changeups when they are hit go far, or they're when they're barreled up will go extremely far. So obviously, a lot of guys will roll over changeups, but he does run the risk of catching a few barrels with it. But he's an excellent pitcher. He pitches with a lot of emotion and a lot of passion, and it's very clear to see. And he's a clubhouse favorite and a fan favorite for just being absolutely insane. You have Jonathan Loizaga behind him. The Loizaga starting experiments are finally over, I think. When he pitches an inning, he looks really good for one inning, and multiple innings does bad for him. He showed some pretty nasty stuff when he got that one inning, and I think that he throws high velocity. He closed out the game that I went to last year in Fenway, which was fun to watch. The guy he is young and talented and has a high ceiling for what he can do because of his ability to throw so hard. You just want to see an improvement in numbers from him. He's going to throw a fair number of innings in over the 60 games split. So expect high strikeouts and hopefully a lower walk ratio. Behind any of Chad Greene, as I mentioned, he struggled quite a bit for a bit last season, but he started to put it back together. What I'm hoping and what everyone should hope for is that he will continue to just be that dominant reliever that he was in 2017 and 18. When he's on, he is lethal, and he is one of the best bullpen arms in the league. He was the setup man of 2018, and you're just looking for a return to form from him. Behind him, you have Jonathan Holder. Jonathan Holder, in his rookie season in 2018, had a breakout with he only had a 3.14 ERA in 66 innings. He ate up a lot of innings for the Yankees, and struck out 60. 2019 was the tale of two pitches, however, as suddenly he was just giving up meatballs, lots and lots of home runs, the 6.31 ERA, despite striking out over a man an inning. This season you'll hopefully see an improvement from him because you don't want to see him be a one-hit wonder. You don't want to see anyone be a one-hit wonder. Behind him, you got Luis Cessa. Luis Cessa is also starting to show great improvements. As a reliever last year, he was pretty good. 4.11 ERA, which doesn't scream great, but he had a rough start to the season. He also had a couple of starts which weren't good. But when he's in the bullpen, he is very good. Mid 90s quality stuff. quality fastball, and a lot of fans really don't realize how good he can look at times, and so he's an interesting project for them. Ben Heller got injured in 2017, didn't pitch in 2018. 2019, he pitched at the end of the year and had a pretty solid showing. So this will be his first full season in a while, first full season ever actually. So hopefully he shows what he did when he was up in from last year and when he was up in 2017. Luis Avalon was just called up. It just made the roster. I'm not sure how long he's going to be up on the roster. He was signed as with an invite to spring training. He's not going to be a huge part of this bullpen. Maybe if they get something big out of him, he'll end up sticking around. But I don't expect him to be a big part of this. Tyler Lyons was a late season pickup. He wasn't that great. He'll be an innings eater if they need him to eat innings. If they have a bad game where there's a lot of runs, they're up or down. Behind me, David Hale. David Hale has struggled consistently with injuries and just issues staying on teams. Last year looked like it was finally his year in 20 games and 37 innings. The 3.0 record, a 3.11 ERA. He had it all together, but then a series of injuries set him down the rest of the season. I actually really like watching this guy work, and I hope that this season he gets to stay healthy. And he's going to be another project piece. These last 5 guys are project pieces. But overall, this team top to bottom, threatening and deep. So let's go talk grades, because my throat wants to kill me right now.
I mean, you are an hour and 2 minutes in. I'm not surprised.
Listen, this team's worth it. A+. Don't get me wrong, there's bias here.
Do you want me to just go all the way through and just give them all an A+, then you can... I'm just kidding.
The lineup has contact now, good contact with DJ Mayhew and Gio Urshela. They grind out lots of at-bats. They have, for the most part, decent walk to strikeout ratios. And they have really good defense from a number of players on that team. And it's just a very full, complete lineup. And there isn't a single person that goes to the plate and you think is going to put together a bad at-bat. Bullpen, A+. It's so easy. It's so easy. You have 5 closer quality. That's insane. Adam Ottavino and Zach Britton were getting closer contracts, and they chose to stick with the Yankees because they know the Yankees are the place to win. And that's not my words. That's their words. I guess they are my words because I'm saying them. They know where it's at. They know they want to be a part of a really great organization, and this bullpen is just ridiculous. Most games you're not going to need Jonathan Loaizaga or Jonathan Holder or Luis Cessa, but not to say that they're bad options. They're still good pitchers. But the point is that the guys you're relying on have histories of being ridiculously dominant, and some of them at the top of their category for multiple years. And so it's such an easy A+ to give out. Rotation, I'm giving an A. I would give it an A+ at Luis Severino is pitching, but he's not, and I want to not see him entirely delusional. No, fuck it, A+, fuck it, A+. Put the plus back.
Oh my god, he's only gone and done it. I really was kidding, but I guess I really could have fucking gone and done it.
No, fuck it. Honestly, okay, if I'm being honest, it's an A rotation. It's excellent. Every one of those options is, with the exception of Hap, is good, which is why it doesn't deserve. Hap is the reason this doesn't get an A+. Hap is gonna get a start probably, and it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be ugly. But Tanaka's gonna come back and make everything okay. Tanaka's only gonna miss 1 or 2 starts. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Thumbnail gun.
So really, the rotation's an A. The rotation's an A. Because of that.
You've walked it back. I respect it.
I've walked it back. If Luis Severino was on here, I'd have no problem giving the rotation an A, because if Luis Severino's here, bye-bye J Hap. Well, bye-bye to the bullpen, I should say. I'm never going to root for him. For what he did in 2018, I want him to, be able to go because he's at the end of his career. I hope that he finishes strong. So, anyway, this team is the best team in the AL, and ESPN has predicted that the Yankees and Dodgers will go to the World Series and the Dodgers will win it because ESPN for the last 4 years has predicted the Dodgers will win it because they're stupid. Dave Roberts is a shit postseason manager, and they'll probably figure out that's by having Mookie Betts and Cody Bellinger on the same fucking lineup a way to blow it.
Side note: did you see Mookie Betts' extension today?
Yeah, 10 years, $350 million. Everyone in Boston had himself convinced that the reason why Mookie Betts didn't want to re-sign was because he wanted to go to free agency. A 12-year, $365 million.
Yeah, it was a
Holy!
dummy thick contract, bro.
Oh, listen, the guy is worth a dummy thick contract. And I get to like him now that he's not on the Red Sox. But the fact is the Red Sox never wanted to pay him because teams like to pretend that they don't have money, and so they didn't want to pay him because at the end of the day, the Red Sox are heading into rebuild, whether their fans want to believe it or not. And Mookie won his World Series there. I think Boston's obviously always going to have a special place in his heart, but the fact is, LA, LA has a deep farm system, a deep team, and they are the best team in the NL. So there's literally zero reason to not want to sign that kind of contract with LA. Can't blame them at all. So yeah, congratulations to Mookie Betts. But yeah, like 6 years in a row, 4 years in a row, you're predicting them to win the World Series and they haven't done it once. Come on.
To be fair, they were in the World Series at least 3 of
Back-to-back
the
years,
4,
yeah.
or 2 of the 4.
Yep. Yeah. 1 year they were cheated out of it. They should have won 2017. But at the end of the day, they still lost games at home in 2017. But that's not the point.
Valid point.
They still were cheated. The Astros cheated against them. That still is the case. Never forget. The Astros cheated. The Astros shame tour will begin in 2021. If they think they're not going to get booed in every ballpark for as long as they're playing in the league, they are wrong. Fuck the Astros. That's how I'm finishing this game. Fuck the Astros. Go Yankees. Yankees will win the AL East. I'm predicting 39 to 40 games. The Rays will be their stiffest competition, and barring a really horrible start to the season, the Yankees should be able to win the league fairly hand over fist. Not hand over fist, but fairly easily. Because at the end of the day, their deeper lineup and their deeper rotation give them they keep thumbnail gun.
Waiting.
Give them the edge.
I'm waiting for you to just come out and say it and just eat your microphone and tell me they're gonna win the World Series.
I would like to yell, but unfortunately it's 1:50 in the morning, and my parents will kill me.
I mean,
Skin me and then kill me.
You did just eat your microphone to say fuck it A+. So I was kind of expecting that round too, but it's like, yeah, you're gonna win a World Series.
So anyway, if 2020 doesn't end with the chase for 28 being completed, well, 2021 will be the season. And listen, the way this is gonna go is if the Yankees don't win it in after a 60-game season, I'll say, well, who really cares? It was just a 60-game season. If the Yankees win it, it counts.
As long as we're
Because
clear
I am
that you're biased.
I'm
Yep.
biased.
As long as we're
I'm
clear.
100% biased. Go Yankees! The Yankees. This is their World Series to lose. This is their AL East to lose. This is their AL to lose. This is their World Series to lose. They are it. They are an operational Death Star for the next couple of years. Them and the Dodgers. They are the two teams that have the chance to build dynasties here. Yankees, let's fucking put it together.